My next patron question is from Joshua, who wanted me to compare two Disney remakes from the 90s. Between the following two movies, each which are a second-time Disney-distributed film, written by John Hughes and produced under his short-lived Great Oaks production label, and heavily reliant on slapstick humor, which is better, Flubber or 101 Dalmatians? In addition to what Joshua mentioned, both are remakes of successful films Disney released in 1961. Flubber being based on The Absent-Minded Professor, and 101 Dalmatians was of course a classic animated film before it was turned into a live-action blockbuster. I admit I don't have the highest opinion of either of these remakes, but I would say my preference between the two is 101 Dalmatians. While it has its flaws, which I'll get to, the movie certainly has its occasional charms and delights. The highlight for me is definitely Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil. She gives the role the right over-the-top energy and makes her into a truly despicable villain. Every second Close is on screen, she is chewing the scenery and having a ball of the time. Turning her into a fashion mogul is clever, and it says something that this addition to the character has managed to stick whenever Disney does something new with 101 Dalmatians. I also quite like Jeff Daniels and Jolie Richardson as Roger and Anita. They have a few sweet scenes together and some funny banter. The decision to make Roger into a video game designer is also inspired, and the dogs are cute and well trained. However, there's surprisingly a lot of padding. It's about 24 minutes longer than the animated film, and you can sense the filmmakers adding on to those minutes with superfluous scenes. I'm also not particularly fond of the third act, where it goes into full Home Alone mode. Horace and Jasper feel like clones of the Wet Bandits, and there are several scenes where the animals turn into Macaulay Culkin, and a lot of the slapstick does not land for me. The movie also portrays raccoons and skunks as being native to England, which is inaccurate. I know it's strange to mention the inaccuracy of a comedy about Dalmatians being kidnapped, but this cannot help but stand out to me. Overall, I find 101 Dalmatians to be a mixed bag. However, it's at least a little funnier than Flubber, which has even more tired gags. Robin Williams is certainly giving the role his all, which he often did in every performance. The special effects on the Flubber themselves are quite impressive, with the VFX artists experimenting with how to portray their fluid form, and I won't deny there are a few amusing bits here and there. Unfortunately, most of the gags don't land for me, as John Hughes goes for many of his common writing techniques during the 90s. He even uses two henchmen and keep getting harmed by the protagonist and land on their bottoms when hit with something. There are so many pratfalls in Flubber, and none of them are the least bit amusing. Although I've often wondered whether he wrote these sorts of scripts during this period because he genuinely enjoyed writing goofy slapstick scenarios, or because studios kept pressuring him to write a movie with the Home Alone formula. The Flubber actually doesn't get too much screen time, with the biggest scene involving a Busby Berkeley-like dance number. It's a neat showcase for the computer animation, with a jazzy Danny Elfman score to boot, but I actually felt nothing while watching it, and it does eventually outstay its welcome. The addition of Dr. Brainerd's robot assistant Weebo especially leads some odd plot choices. For example, she's frequently shown as sabotaging Brainerd's attempts to marry his fiancée because of her infatuation with him. This is not a subtle hint of love. No, this is a major part of her character, and the film does not seem to present how strange this is, or even that he created an electronic device that can develop feelings of love. That leads to the second question that is in my head during the entire viewing. How has Apple or Microsoft somehow not contacted Brainerd about the fact that he built a sentient robot with its own free will and emotions? In 1997, no less. Weebo even somehow predicted GIFs with the way she uses film and television show clips to react to events. People will be lining up at Best Buy or the Apple Store in droves to buy that thing, and it would be the must-have device of the Christmas shopping season. Sorry I keep going on about this, but so many of the financial troubles Brainerd University is dealing with would be resolved if he patented Weebo and offered it to the highest bidding company. Flubber just is not a movie that brings much amusement, and both of these remakes are cases where I vastly prefer the earlier films. Although it is neat seeing Bill Nye list in the end credits of Flubber as a science consultant. Now let me know in the comments whether you prefer Flubber or the live-action 101 Dalmatians, and thank you for your question, Joshua.